and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. Please excuse the wind. We're in a new location and it's just, I always say the spirit travels in the wind, and it's funny because I'll come and sit and there's no wind, and then when I start speaking, all this wind will come. Anyway, special shout out, of course, to our Patreon family. We appreciate, love you so much for supporting us, and not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Thanks to everyone that has subscribed to this channel, and we will be starting Stories for Other Days on our main channel, so definitely keep an eye out for that by subscribing and putting on the notification bell. So I've been getting a lot of questions around relationships, and one of the main questions that I keep, or one of the main themes, it's not even a question, but one of the main themes that I see or that I've been seeing in the last 2 years is the high level of separation and divorce among those awakening. Because what has happened, so many people have reached out to me, and either they, their spiritual team triggered their awakening, but their partner is not awakening. They want to move out of the city and start prepping and going off grid, but their partner thinks that's totally crazy. So there's just so many different variables where I've witnessed, like, there's a disconnect that happens when you start your awakening journey. And it's because, beloveds, you're not with beloveds, is because you're never with who you want to be or who you dream to be. You're with who you are. You always attract people on the same vibration as you. Every relationship you have, if you look at it, it always met you where you were at that point. And so in order to attract the highest divine counterpart for your life, you have to be at the highest vibration. Now, many people got married, had children before they started their awakening journey, and they based who they married on Babylon's very lame criteria. He's cute, he's a good provider, he's wealthy, oh, she's hot, she looks like she would be a good mother, all these things that were kind of shallow, and it didn't go into the deeper nuances of that person's soul contract. Let me tell you, you see arranged marriages in India, which came from our system, beloveds. It's a very intricate system where they'll look at your birth chart, they'll look at the person's birth chart, they'll look at your temperaments, they'll look at so many things before they bring you together, and they have such a high level of success rate. Unfortunately now, it's been watered down by, fathers wanting to marry their beautiful daughters to the highest bidder, but that was still, if you look deeply, that was still some of the things. And back in the day when I was in school, because I went to school with a few Indians, and some of them did have arranged marriages, which I was like, and they're still married and they're happy, which I found so strange. But you see, for us, it was more like, I like you, you like me, the sex is hot, you make me look good, you look good, you're like arm candy, so let's do this. And then now, when you started your awakening journey, many realized they'd married the devil because you're now going up and that person is here. And what happens is, if someone is not rising with you in vibration, then they will pull you down, because two vibrations cannot exist in the same house, beloveds. Two vibrations cannot exist in the same house. So either you will pull your husband or wife up, or they will pull you down. And so that's why a lot of people, sadly, what happens is that when you start awakening, if your partner decides to remain on a lower vibration, then they often become a very toxic part of your relationship. And it's been heartbreaking. Some of the emails I've gotten where, the unawakened dad wants the children to get the double Big Mac, but the awakened mother who has done all this research tried to share it with him. He doesn't want to hear. So people are in some really, really, really tricky situations. But I think first is to come to terms with the fact that you probably married someone who was not your divine counterpart. and for all the wrong reasons. But because you're more high vibration, you can steer the relationship, whether it's ending because a person, you can take a donkey to the river, but you can't make them drink the water. So whether the relationship is ending, or whether you want to try and pray and pull your partner up, you can do a lot on from a higher vibration. But the most important thing is to maintain your own vibration. And last year I think I shared where I was like, if you're married and you're in this tug of war and you're on a higher vibration than your husband, then literally you need to start sleeping in a separate room. And some people are like, oh, don't give marriage advice, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, beloveds, because those two vibrations are intermingling all night. And if they're on different levels, you guys are literally fighting every night. It's exhausting. That's why you'll have very little energy to do anything else for your life. Anyway, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. So, why is there such a high divorce rate among awakening people? Why are there so many separations? Why are there so many breakups? It's because of this vibration thing, beloveds. And the fact that you are now on a new vibration. It's literally like you're in a new world and you're still trying to be in an old world. You're in a new dimension and you're still trying to maintain that lower dimension. So what can you do if you find yourself in this situation? Beloveds, of course, use your own discernment, have deep meditation, and with your spiritual team about this. They are your best bet for kind of helping you navigate this tricky water, especially if there's assets involved, especially if there's young children involved, and maybe you even want to relocate to the motherland. So it's very important to use your own discernment, pray about it to the Most High, and get direction from your own spirit. But I think one of the things you have to acknowledge is you have a decision to make. And that decision is either you stay in a toxic relationship and compromise your awakening, or make your awakening 10 times more difficult, delay your awakening, which won't happen, beloveds. Or you can actually just, be faithful to the reason that you came to this planet to begin with, which was your spiritual awakening. That is your purpose here. It's all about saving your bloodline, taking your bloodline to a higher level, finishing out way higher than where you started off. And that is an opportunity that we have in front of us right now. So I think it's really, so you'll have to make that decision. And you see, beloveds, if you decide to stay in a toxic relationship or to stay in a low vibrational relationship because you're married, because you have children, because, you can't afford this and you can't afford that, unfortunately, there will be what many call a tower moment. There will be a separation. If you don't do it, your spiritual team will do it. Especially if there's already a tug of war and you know that you're kind of separating and going in different directions. If you don't do it, your spiritual team will do it. So if you don't have the courage to do it, then prepare yourself emotionally for how it will end. And that's why one of the most powerful lessons I've learned on my awakening journey has been to always heed the call of spirit, to always heed the word of spirit and what spirit is saying. Because if you don't, what I've found is if my spiritual team tells me to get a certain person out of my life and I don't, they will forcibly remove that person in my life in such a dramatic way that it will totally sever the ties and will never be able to, to ever have any kind of relationship. Where if you heed the word of spirit and you move away, then later on, at least if they're able to transform their lives and raise to a certain level, you may be able. Spirit is moving so strongly today. You may be able, beloveds, to reconcile. So, and start thinking of that, because you marry who you are. And if you're becoming a different person, then someone different will have to enter your life, because you'll become, and you'll hear like a lot of people will say, I don't recognize my husband anymore. I don't recognize my wife anymore. I don't recognize my partner. They were like this, they were like that. We used to have so much fun, but now we're just fussing and fighting all the time. It's because you guys are on different vibrations. So it's like you're not connecting. It's like you're living on the third floor, he's on the first floor, and you guys are trying to, have a conversation. There's all kinds of walls and barriers and staircases and doors that have to be crossed and overcome. All the best, beloveds. I know some of the awakening journey is not easy. It's not all roses and whatever. Many of us got into it because there were no other options, literally. I really don't know why there's so much noise today. All the best, beloveds. Make sure you take those brave decisions today so that you're not trying to pick up the pieces tomorrow. It's always better when you're the one navigating a particular situation, rather than allowing your spiritual team or whatever to do something that they told you to do that you hesitated on. I hope this has given you some insight. Until next time, tuko pamoja.